Well, day one of the Dublin Racing Festival, Patrick, and you could start with a bang, a really interesting ride in Super Sunday.
Yeah, delighted to get back on him. He ran really well in Nice. I felt he just blew up after the third last. Just when the Gordon horses attacked off the home bend, we had to sit and bide our time. But it was his first run of the season as such. So I think he's coming forward plenty for that. And I don't think going up in trip would be a negative. We put a hood and a tongue strap on him in order to try and get him to settle a little bit better. But I think with that freshness out of him as well, he should settle well. And he just has that touch of class.
Yeah, there's some mouth-watering close sort of heads-to-heads to look forward to. Let's start with that Goff's Irish Arkle, Majborough v Il Atlantique. How do you see this one?
Yeah, so look, it's fantastic. Look, I mean, Majborough, we've made no secret of how much we think he catches your eye every day on the gallops. He is only 5. He doesn't have a huge amount of experience, but his chasing debut was electric. And look, we're expecting him to do the business, to be honest. But Il Atlantique has finally started to fulfill the potential that we always thought he's had. Obviously, he had an extra runner of fences, and he had more runs over hurdles also. So he's an older horse with more experience, and that can often tell, especially over 2 miles at this kind of pace. You know, Gordon's horses are likely to go and make it a test. And obviously, you've got that ginormous horse of Gino Pino, I think, as well. So it's a fascinating race. Il Atlantique definitely brings a strong level of form to it, but we think Majborough could just be a little bit special.
Talking about a little bit special, Galopin Des Champs bidding to win another Irish Gold Cup. Do you think To File could give him more to think about than he did at Christmas?
Oh, definitely. Look, I think Galopin was emphatic at Christmas, but he got everything his own way as such. You know, he was unhurried, got to set his own fractions, and whereas To File raced too keenly and made a mistake because of that. And you know, in a 3 mile race, you can't be racing too keenly. So while you know, Galopin Des Champs is the champion, and he sets the standard. I do think To File has the potential to get closer to him. I don't know whether he can beat him, but he can definitely get close to him. And it'll be fascinating to see what tactics Mark Walsh, Frank Berry, and JP McManus decide to do. You know, do they double down on trying to get the horse to settle, to try and conserve his energy and use, you know, he might probably be a faster horse than Galopin Des Champs. So that's why that would make sense. Or do you go forward and let To File use his jumping, let him settle by going a half stride faster, and put it up to Galopin Des Champs from the outset, which is obviously a dangerous tactic. But it'll be fascinating to see what they choose to do.
Triple line on the closing bumper. You've opted for Green Splendor over Sortudo. How do you see the race? Does it look a strong renewal?
It is. There's a lot of depth to it. Look, I'm not sure. We're obviously our bumper horse this year. We're still trying to figure them out, and a lot of them have been disappointing. Green Splendor reminds me a lot of Briar Hill. He doesn't give you any feel. I mean, you ride him home, you wouldn't do anything for you. You wouldn't look at him twice in the gallop. But every time you ask, there's a little bit more there. So I don't know how deep the well is, but I think it's probably deeper than it looks. And I love the way he's so relaxed and behind the bridle. That means you can kind of ride him wherever you like, and you're always conserving energy. And particularly in Leopardstown at this race, having one that just conserves his energy. This middle track, this DRF track, is more testing than it is at Christmas. So I think he can put it up to Gordon's horde of Gigglesdown bumper winners. Yeah.
Happy on Sunday, another humdinger of a close-up clash. We've got Ballyburn v Impere Pass. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, sure, a fantastic race. And don't forget Champ Kiley in there as well. And obviously Gordon has his Grade 1 win as well. So look, Ballyburn, we rolled the dice to see was he going to be an Arkle horse, and we got an emphatic answer. You know, he jumps well, but he doesn't jump quick enough to be a real speedster over fences. But his pedigree doesn't suggest that he is. So I think he's learnt an awful lot from that. Paul schooled him earlier in the week. I schooled him this morning, and he jumped well. But again, he jumps like a horse that wants a trip. You know, he's not electric fast. But I actually think that's going to be a help for him, because it's going to help him to settle. You know, he can be on the bridle, he can carry his head low. I think jumping fences is going to bring his head up, make him settle a bit better. So, look, Paul has gone for him. He's definitely the one to beat. But Imperi Pass has won, I'm not sure how many Grade 1s he's won now. Has he won 4 or 5? He's a Cheltenham Festival winner as well. Again, has more experience. Was very good down in Limerick. So he's, you'd probably prefer Imperi Pass's racing preparation than Ballyburns. So that's going to be a fascinating duel. And like I said, Cham Kiley is a Grade 1 winner over hurdles as well. He missed the year. He's only had one run of offences, but he was very good. And there are 3 Grade 1 winners, plus the likes of Croke Park as well. It's going to be a very deep race, and I imagine it's going to be as good, if not better, race than there is in Cheltenham.
Yeah, can't wait to see that one. And can't wait to see Gaelic Warrior back in the Ladbrokes Dublin Chase. You rode him over Christmas. What are you expecting to see from him on Sunday?
Expecting to see huge improvement. Look, we made no secret that he'd had a little setback early in the season. Again, a bit like Super Sunday in Nace. I think this fella blew up for the third last, well, probably after the fourth last, really, but he's going to come on considerably for that. Look, with him, the softer the ground, the better. So we'll have to see how the church track is riding. Solness is there again, but I mean, with a run under our fella's belt, you wouldn't have to be riding him as conservatively. I think you could just bounce out on Solness's tail, and a strongly run 2 miles is really what Gaelic Warrior wants. So I think Solness being there is a positive for him. El Fabiolo obviously makes his return. It's not an ideal race maybe to have your seasonal debut in. I imagine he could be a little bit like Gaelic Warrior. He's probably going to come on further on. But again, a strongly run 2 mile is what he wants as well. And JJ Slevin obviously gets in there on the ride for him. So that's a big ride for him. And Marine Nationale is there as well. Once again, it's a real tinderbox of a race. But I think on this day anyhow, Gaelic Warrior, everything should be set up for him.
Patrick, the Irish champion, Paul Doctor for State Man. How much are you looking forward to this race?
Yeah, it should be an absolutely cracking race. Look, 2 proper horses going at it, going head to head. Paul has opted to stay with State Man. He is the champion hurdle winner. He's had 1 bad run in his life. I think you should forgive every horse 1 bad run. And a few of ours probably were performing below par at Christmas. So look, he sets the standard. He has to give the £7 away, but that's always the way it is with geldings and mares. And lost him out. Look, she has to step up to his form. She was obviously not at her best in Kempton. I know she didn't lie up, but she couldn't lie up with lump sum. So to me, that says she wasn't at her best. It wasn't a case of that she can't go that speed. But regardless of that, this ground and this track will be far more galloping, and that will suit her a lot better. What's going to be fascinating is what tactics each horse uses. Who goes forward, who takes the lead. You'd imagine that's going to be interesting what way the jockeys play their cards. But like I said, Statement is a champion hurdler, so the mare has to get by him.
We're in a closing mare bumper, strong close Sutton team, including future prospect who looked really good on her first start.
This is probably the deepest race of the weekend. It's always a fantastic race. Look, I've gone for future prospects. It's very much not a toss of a coin, but it was a difficult decision. But she won very well. I mean, now I do think in Fairy House it was probably decent ground. It was the inside track. I think we got a few easy lengths out the gate, and we might have been slightly flattered by the Bear performance. But her work at home is good. I think she's a lot more relaxed. What I'm very happy about is that she's a lot more relaxed since her first run. This is a race you need to settle in. So I've gone for her, but Bambino Fever is a big, masculine, strong mare, and she powered through the soft ground and punched on to win really well. And that kind of horse, I think, has a great chance in, again, this ground, this track. It's a stamina race. So she's going to be very dangerous. Blue Velvet is a horse or a mare that doesn't do much, a bit like Green Splendor. I think this race will suit her. She'll be doing her best work at the end. And Cameletta Vega has an awful lot of ability, but she's just let me down the last twice. So I've opted against her this day, but it would be no surprise if she were to win. But I have question marks about her at the moment. And then look, I thought Declan Queeley's filly, who won at Leopardstown on Christmas, the Carrick-Morna mare, she was electric. The turn of foot she showed. This will probably be a very different type of race, different type of ground. And I also won on Amen Kate for Tom Cooper, who was out of Augusta Kate. And she gave me a huge feel. And I think whatever beats her will win it.